Hello, I'm Bud McCord. I'm here in Brazil, South America. It's time for another devotional moment with Stanley Jones, an author that's been with the Lord now since 1973, but has left behind a legacy of very clear thinking about spiritual growth. And we're walking through this devotional book about spiritual growth. If you're following along in the digital book or with a book that you've purchased, we're on page 81. And it's entitled Steps Out of Resentments. Steps Out of Resentments. He's made a very, very compelling case that holding within ourselves resentments is poison to our spiritual growth and life. And it is a completely waste of time strategy for those who really want to move into a life where you are at rest and where you want to deliver love to other people the way they should be loved. That would describe you and me, I would hope, and I pray that we each one would be able to see our resentments for what they are. They really are a poison and a wrong strategy. And he's now going to give us the steps out of resentments. I've read this devotional since last night 3 times. I would think that the price of the book, whether digital or paper, it would be worth just the wisdom that as he expresses here. So let's read it again. I'll read it again. I don't find that to be tiring at all. So steps out of resentment. Stanley Jones says this: we must be eager now to take the steps out of resentments into release. First, don't get hung up on the attempt to justify the resentment by calling it righteous indignation. There is such a thing as righteous indignation. Jesus had it when he looked around him, round about on them with anger, being grieved for the hardness of their hearts. Mark chapter 3, verse 5. This was anger at what was happening to someone else, and not personal pick at something that was happening to him. This righteous indignation Jesus had, it had grief in it, being grieved at what was happening to another. When our anger has a grief in it at what is happening to someone else and not a gripe in it as what is happening to us, then the anger is right and righteous. Number 2, second, even if the anger is righteous, don't keep it too long within the heart. It will fester. Paul says, be ye angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 26. Here was an anger that could be held without sin. But if you are to be angry and sin not, then you must be angry only at sin. However, even this kind of anger must not be kept overnight. Let not the sun go down on your wrath. For even a righteous indignation can eat away the love side of your life and leave you righteously cantankerous and unlovely person. Let me read that. That's an interesting statement, beautiful statement. He said, for even a righteous indignation can eat away the love side of your life and leave you righteously cantankerous and unlovely person. Kind of sounds like Facebook. That's my little ad to here. Third, remember whatever you give out comes back. With what measure you meet, these are the words of Jesus, with what measure you meet, it shall be measured to you again. You cannot give out ill will without getting it back to yourself again. The hater is hated. The resentful, resented. The lover loved automatically. The story goes of a Hindu god who enchanted an arrow which flew around killing people. But after it finished killing people and had no one else to kill, it came back to the god and got after him. So the god spent his days flying before the arrow, or trying to get away from the arrow he had sent out against others. Even the gods are not exempt from this law of sowing and reaping. No one can afford a grudge. It charges too much toll. You chew your own tongue when you chew on a resentment. And here's his prayer. O loving God, make me loving. Take from my heart all unkind, ungenerous, unloving thoughts. Amen. And his affirmation for the day is, my loving thoughts will push out all unloving thoughts today. My loving thoughts will push out all unloving thoughts today. I think he's convinced me profoundly and with biblical reason and with wisdom just from observation of people and his own probably battles of his own resentments, that resentment is a terrible strategy. It's a terrible strategy. It doesn't work. It is incapable of repairing or releasing us from the power of whatever it was that happened to us that made us resentful, full of resentment. And self-pity is a bad strategy. I'd like to really be careful here to say to you that I'm not trying to minimize what has happened to you or happened to me or happened to us. But I am saying this. There's absolutely no evidence that resentment will make anything better. Even wrath, which would be a really, really terrible form of perhaps resentment that some people might want to exact on other people, God says to us that vengeance is his, not ours. Jesus says to us, we should not resist an evil person, because when you resist an evil person, all you do is encourage them, because an evil person loves being resisted because it gives them another opportunity to manifest their willingness to go farther than you will go in a fight. One thing about being a Christian is it somewhat takes away from us our ability to get as bad as we might want to get, because we have a set of brakes on us, which is the Spirit of God within us. But a perverse person or a person who is completely evil, they don't have any brakes. So I like to think of it as like this. If we believe in Jesus and the rivers of living water are flowing through us, then we need to act toward people like a river. And if we run into a rock in the river, we go over it. We go around it. We don't go through it. But we find a way to keep going where we need to go. And once that perverse person is in the rearview mirror, then we can move on and go ahead to where we need to go. Resentment is like this huge rock that we've picked a fight with. And we've insisted, I'm going to stay here and fight this rock. No, don't do that. Turn the rock over to the will of God, and you keep moving forward with the love that you need to deliver today. That's what I'm hearing. Let me just read these 3 statements again, and we'll be done. Don't get hung up on an attempt to justify the resentment by calling it righteous indignation. I have a right to be angry. Okay, be angry. Now get over it. Keep moving. You've got people to love. And if you stop and have a fight with a rock, then the love doesn't get into them. Even if the anger is righteous, don't keep it too long within the heart. If you're really, really angry, all right, think about it, focus on it. Know that it was wrong. Turn it over to God. You got people to love. And move on. Third, remember, whatever you give out comes back. Understand this. Built into every sin, there is a consequence. You don't have to produce the consequence. It's built into the sin. If someone sins against you, there is a price that they're going to pay, because all sin creates a consequence. You're saying, yeah, but the sin is in me, it caused a consequence. Yes, but you don't have to be prisoner to the consequence of another person's sin. But if you turn out to be resentful toward them, now you're in the middle of the consequence of their sin. What you want to be is free. Free to love the people you need to love. It would be better for you to lose your tunic and your cloak and give it away to somebody than to stay in the fight with them, because while you're in the fight with them, the other people who need you don't have your attention. You'd be better off to let them have your cloak and coat and move on than you would be to have a warfare that goes on for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 20 years. Because while you're busy with that battle, there are people that need your love who are not getting your love. That's the way I think about resentment in a very practical sense in my own life. I hope this has been helpful to you. It's certainly been helpful to me. Have a great day. Keep your focus on Jesus here in Brazil. It's a beautiful day outside. Never boring in Brazil. Every day is, you never quite know, but it is certainly never boring. It's a beautiful, wonderful country with wonderful people, but a lot of very interesting things that happen every day. I know the same is true wherever you are. Have a great day. God bless you.